Hi everyone, my name is Clementine and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about radical self-care, especially for Black folks. So the topic's been on my mind a lot in the past few weeks after listening to a podcast called Girltrek, which is something I would recommend to anyone Black who needs healing. They did an episode every day for an entire month, I think it was June, and each episode highlighted a specific Black activist, a lot of them that I've never actually even heard of. And I learned so many different things about different influential people in our community, and I would have never learned it if I didn't hear that podcast. But anyway, the first episode was on radical self-care, and they basically talked about why it's needed in our community, especially right now with everything going on outside. Because while a lot of non-Black folks have stopped supporting, have stopped marching and donating, a lot of Black folks are still going out there every single day, risking their lives, funding the movement, and helping their communities. We're putting so much into the community while we're ignoring our individual needs. And right now we're asking for justice and a right to exist, a right to be free. But we can't talk about liberation without healing, both as a community and as individuals. And I can say from experience, coming from a Liberian family, and I'm sure a lot of Black families have this same experience, but we're raised to survive. We're raised to make sure we can raise our families and do what we need to do to survive day to day. We're not raised to heal. We're not raised to cope with a world that doesn't want us to actually exist. So instead, we put the movement first, and then family. And this is even more true with Black women and femmes. And there was something that happened on Twitter a few weeks ago that made it even more clear to me. There was a post that was supposed to be praising Black women. I asked everyone to name one thing that you love most about Black women. And as a Black woman myself, I love that shit. I just wanted to see some Black joy. So I quickly opened the post, but once I opened the post... Hi everyone, Editing Alex here. Just wanted to let you guys know for a chunk of this video, you will be seeing a smidge of lipstick on my front tooth. And I had a choice. I had a choice of either giving in to my ego and doing it over again, or letting it ride, because, ain't nobody got time for that. No one has time to do all of that. So I chose the latter. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I would hope, prefer even, that you would just turn around and act like it's a podcast, just don't look and just do what you're doing until about number 6. But if not, enjoy. Everyone was saying how Black women are just so strong. They know how to just raise everyone else up, and they just constantly, put themselves to the side. They're so selfless, They're such great family, or they're so great for families. Some people even said how we can withstand pain, which is not a compliment to anyone. Ever. And there's a big problem with the strong woman trope, even in praise. Our pain won't be taken seriously because we're strong. We can handle it. And we're not seen as delicate. Therefore, we don't need protection. And we can see the result of that. We've seen how social media has treated Black women in pain, dealing with their trauma. Take Meg Thee Stallion, for example. We're basically told to raise everyone else while forgetting our own needs, forgetting about our own selves as individuals, because we're too busy being mothers and teachers and carriers of everyone else's trauma. And even when we can somehow find space to be selfish and take care of ourselves, 9 times out of 10 we're doing something that someone told us we should do for self-care, like go to a spa, go get a manicure, or do something else that costs a crap ton of money. And we're putting all of that money back into capitalism, which can also be a form of oppression, which defeats, self-care. So I wanted to give everyone a few tips and ways on how they can be more radical with their self-care every single day. And while I am centering Black women and femmes, all of these tips can be used for anyone, regardless of what you identify as. So let's get started. So the first tip would be to not stack your self-care routines. Now, what do I mean when I say don't stack your self-care? The biggest way I see people stacking their self-care routine, me also being people, we have a tendency of cramming every single thing that we want to do for ourselves into one day. So I'm not going to do anything Monday through Thursday for myself, but Friday is my day. So I'm going to start the day off right with an hour of yoga, then follow it with an hour of working out, and followed with an hour of whatever. And instead of giving ourselves a week of mindfulness and relaxation, we're giving ourselves a week of stress and one day of stress while we're trying to relax because we're trying to cram everything. That defeats the purpose of self-care. Probably one of the best quotes I've ever heard, and I have to constantly remind myself every single week, is self-care is a marathon, not a sprint. So there's no reason that you should be stressing yourself out in the name of self-care. You should be doing it piece by piece. Say if you want to do 20 minutes of yoga Monday and do a workout on Tuesday, if that's all you can fit, that's fine. But don't make yourself feel like you have to do everything in one single day. Otherwise, you can't relax. Otherwise, you can't give yourself some space. Make space where you can, because you're worth it. You're just as important as all of those other things on your to-do list. My second tip would be to make space for reflection and vulnerability. As Black people, we're constantly told to keep everything in. We don't talk to therapists because therapy's white people shit. We don't talk to family because they don't want to hear about our problems because they have their own problems and they're going to tell us to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps anyway. But what we need to do is start learning to talk to ourselves. And yes, sometimes that means literally just talking to yourself. Like right now, technically, I'm talking to myself. But even writing a journal entry to yourself, and it doesn't have to be an every single day thing, unless you can, that's great. But if it's a weekly thing, that's great too. Just checking in with yourself. Because you may not have a family member or a friend that you can do that with every day, so be that person. I feel like that's almost like self-parenting, but self-friending, if that's a word. But if journals aren't your thing, you can also send yourself an audio clip. I know you have a phone, so send yourself a memo. Have a conversation with yourself. Or do a vlog. Make yourself a private video and save it on your computer. Have a conversation with yourself however you need to. But just let it out instead of leaving it in. Because even if you can't necessarily solve it by talking about it, at least it's not inside anymore. At least it's released. Number 3, go outside. Now this is probably my favorite one. And I know this is going to be difficult given the fact that there's a whole ass pandemic outside. But get your mask on and get some fresh air. Even if it's 20 minutes a day. I genuinely believe that Black people are more attuned to nature. I feel like that's our healing space. Like nature has always been our sanctuary. I can always say for me, ever since I was a kid, whenever I was feeling stressed, I would always find myself somehow in nature and I always felt better. And while it was hard for me to get back into as an adult, now that I can definitely say I feel a difference. I try to spend a little bit of time outside every day if I can. If not, I will spend at least maybe an hour every few days. But definitely make whatever time that you can. Be safe while you're doing it because, again, whole ass pandemic. So make sure you have your mask, make sure you have your sanitizer, but get outside, get some fresh air, smell some honeysuckles. Also, this is probably the reason why your parents probably told you to go outside every 30 minutes. I know for me, my aunt, every single time I came over, they would make us go outside for at least 30 minutes every single weekend. And while at the beginning I kind of hated it, I enjoyed it because it was an adventure. Number 4, listen to your intuition on everything. I feel like I myself constantly ignore my intuition because I feel like I don't believe in myself sometimes. And so I feel like I constantly have to remind myself to listen to my intuition, because 9 times out of 10, you already know what the right answer should be. Your body tells you. Whether your intuition manifests in goosebumps, whether you get a weird feeling in your stomach, listen to that. Listen to what it's telling you. It could be your ancestors trying to talk through you, or it could be your instinct trying to get stronger. Either way, listen to what your intuition is saying. Whether it's telling you to leave that toxic ass relationship, or it's telling you to move all the way to Africa, which is what one of the co-hosts in that podcast did. She said that's what radical self-care looked like to her. Sometimes it's small moves. Sometimes it's big moves. Listen to what your body is telling you it needs. And number 5, also kind of in that same vein, check in with your body and with your senses. Take stock of what's happening around you, and also how your body's feeling about what's happening around you. Like right now, I'm hearing the birds outside. I'm hearing the fan behind me. Hopefully you all don't hear that as well. But I'm now also hearing a little bit of my cat snoring. And so I feel like having that mindfulness, smelling whatever sense is around you, and having that awareness of your surroundings. Also, checking in with your limbs. How do your hands feel? Why are my hands clammy? Why is my foot asleep? Things like that, checking in with your body. Those help with your intuition, and it also helps you stay present, which helps with mindfulness and can alleviate stress. So I would definitely recommend you doing that at least once or twice a day if you can. Number 6, meditate. Please meditate. I want to tell everybody, if I can genuinely shake every black person in the world collectively and say meditate, I would, because I feel like we all need it so much. And when we do it, we feel it. It resonates in our soul. We can feel a sense of, a contentment that we never do. Like I, for one, can say that since I've been meditating consistently, that inner restlessness that I've always had has definitely reduced. And I feel like I can finally be present a little bit more in every aspect of my life, or whether that's socially with my friends and my family, or whether that's sexually with my damn self. I feel like I just feel things more and fully and just more presently, and I enjoy that. And I think that's important for us as black people, because again, we're constantly told to put all of that energy towards other people. Once we put that energy towards ourselves and listening to our bodies, the magic and the power that can happen. I feel like we all need to do that at least, I wouldn't say every day, because that's, I know, heavy when you're first starting out. So even if you're doing 10 minutes every other day, that's something. That is something big. And also, I want to say, meditate in the way you want. The media would have you think that you need to meditate by listening to someone who speaks to you like this, and who talks like an angel is sitting on their tongue. That's not what you need. If you need trap music, meditate to trap music. If you need to meditate to metal, meditate to metal. Do what you need to put your mind in the perfect space for meditation. If you want to listen to Black is King like I did when I was doing yoga this morning, that's okay. Just make sure you don't twerk and almost fall over mid-position like I did. But do what you need to. Listen to what you need to get yourself in the right headspace. So my 7th tip is to say no more often, and don't feel guilty about it either. We're constantly told to say yes because everyone needs things from us, but you need to fill your own cup first. If you don't feel like you have the time to do something for somebody, or sometimes if you genuinely just don't fucking want to, say no It is okay. It is all right to say no and not apologize for it. No is a full sentence. No, I have to repeat that for myself, and I know other people who are probably anxious out there who don't like to say the word no. No is a full sentence. Full stop. Number 8, vocalize your boundaries and don't apologize for reaffirming them. This is one I definitely also have an issue with. I sometimes put a boundary and then I backtrack because I feel guilty. But that's not the case. A boundary is just that. It's unmoving. And if I'm uncomfortable with something, I'm uncomfortable. I feel like we're constantly told to move in a way that makes others feel comfortable. And even when we're not in the workplace and things like that, in our personal lives, we don't put the boundaries that we know we should because we're afraid of what that person may think. But that's not how it should go. If you're uncomfortable with something, say it and reaffirm that if you need to. Repeat it. And if you feel that you're constantly having to repeat yourself, you may need to reassess your relationship with that person. Your feelings are valid, every single one of them. So if you put a boundary out there, it's in stone, and make sure you affirm that to yourself and other people as well. Number 9, and this is big, ask for help. This one has always been hard for me, and I'm so glad that I'm now learning. You don't have to be strong all the time. It's okay to just tap out and say, I can't do this anymore and I need help. That's what I had to do a few months ago, and I genuinely did it. I had to catch myself kicking and screaming. I felt like I genuinely had to self-parent because me, Alex, did not want to do it. I did not want to go to therapy. I genuinely thought that is me saying I failed. I quit. I messed up. And so I had to drag myself back. But I had to realize that it was bigger than that. It was bigger than me having to be strong and put on a brave face for everybody. I needed to fix what was wrong, and I couldn't do that alone. I've realized that because I've been trying to do it alone. And I guess that's my short way of saying, if you need help for anything, whether that is therapy, whether that's talking to your family about something else and saying, hey, I need help with this, ask. Because you're constantly doing things for other people. People constantly ask you for help. Why would you not ask other people? Why do you feel like you don't deserve it? Ask for help. You don't have to be strong all the time. And number 10, say yes and treat yourself. Saying yes is probably sometimes just as hard for me as saying no, because I don't like rewarding myself for things if I feel like I haven't checked off my to-do list. Like, I will not plan my weekend if I feel like I haven't reached a certain peak of productivity in my week yet. And my therapist had to make me realize that's ridiculous. Like, why do I not feel like I deserve a good time during my weekend if I don't get whatever done in the future? Like, that makes no sense. Like, it's important to give yourself times to be happy and not feel like you have to filter it through a lens of productivity. I feel like there's times for productivity and there's times of just being present and being okay and rewarding yourself, whether that's buying a candle or buying a sex toy. Treat yourself. And so that's all I have today. Just kind of wanted to give everyone a few tips on what's been helping me. But let me know what's been working for you. What has been your self-care routine the past few months? Also, let me know in the comments, how can you be more radical with your self-care every week? Until next time.